People going about their business. Let's talk about this now. Tim Marshall, our Foreign Affairs Editor, and Nabila Ramdani, who's a journalist and an expert on Algerian affairs. First of all, Tim, who are these terrorists, militants, whatever you want to call them? What are we dealing with?
If you use the term Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, it's partially correct. It's an umbrella, it's a name, and underneath it are a whole bunch of groups, perhaps 10, 12 of them. Some of them dedicated only to the Islamist cause. Some of them are actually also bandits, drug smugglers, people smugglers. This guy, Mokhtaba, seems to fall into the latter category. He is an Islamist. He did fight in Afghanistan. He does share the sort of overall aims of the Islamists, but at the same time, he's a professional kidnapper. This time is different, though. To go for something like this with up to 40 hostages in a static situation is very different from anything that's happened before. Usually it's just a couple of French backpackers or some Japanese tourists taking a wrong turn.
Nabila, why are they doing this? What do they hope to get out of this? Are they going to get out of this?
Well, in my opinion, it's directly linked, of course, with the French intervention in Mali. And one of the demands that's allegedly being made by this group of people is to ask the French president to halt the military operation in Mali, or indeed organize the release of 100 Islamists currently being held in Algerian jails. So that's the demands they're putting forward. And, you know, it's no coincidence that it's happened in Algeria. Algeria has always warned against French military intervention in Mali because it was very concerned about the security in its southern region in the Sahel, where kidnappings have happened before.
So what is going to happen next? We've got the Algerian army involved in this. We've got the Times reporting today that the SAS are on standby. What way do you see this now developing?
The SAS are always on standby in these situations. So yes, they are, but it's not as if the engines are running. Going back to what Nabila said, I think there is a link to Mali. But I also think that groups like this jump on whatever cause is current at the time and use it to almost justify their aims. To put together an operation like this, from last Friday when the first bombing started to yesterday when the operation was undertaken at the gas facility, is pretty quick. I'm not ruling it out.
But you see, that raises questions now, Tim, and I just want from Nabila's perspective here. We see the repercussions of what France are involved in and doing here in Mali. People in Britain are going to be saying, right, well, we're getting involved in this as well. Do we want to be? Will there be repercussions for us?
Well, there will be, first and foremost, massive repercussions in the region, in the sense that the fight against Islamic terrorism has so far focused on countries like Iraq and Afghanistan, and this is effectively opening a new front in the war on terror. And it will have repercussions in the sense that now that Western lives are at stake, and we've heard from William Hague that the number one priority will be to the preservation of Western lives at all costs. This is where everything is shifting. And indeed, if you're talking about consequences on British soil or indeed French soil, security has been stepped up massively in France, and the UK has been drawn in the conflict, and it makes both countries more vulnerable.
Thank you very much indeed for your take on that. We've got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. We go to the city now. Breaking news, trading figures.